Hello and welcome. We are working on the second ornament from the Deck the Halls kit. If you have the kit with all three designs, we are on the second design. Let's do it. So I'm using different colors, again, like I did for the first video, just to have some fun in my life. So if you notice your colors don't look like mine, that is why. I just stuck with the same, a metallic, a red, a green, and a variegated green. I guess the red is also variegated, right? So those are the four colors. See, I have my design ready to hoop. I use stabilizer again on this, so it's kind of interesting. If you don't use stabilizer, your fabric will be like a little bit stretchier, right? And so these guidelines are going to be going out to the edges more, right? Because when you stretch it, that happens. So plus and minuses of using stabilizer versus not stabilizer. So you can see the nice thing about the stabilizer is my circles are all still pretty darn close to perfect circles, but the design isn't stretched to the far edges, which we can easily fix. Basically, whenever we do any stitch, we just kind of extend it, right? So or just stitch it as it is and not worry about the outline. You could also use one of those, let's see, I think I have one right over here. These guys are pretty cute, these little frames, and you could see, I know this clamp is in the way, but that's another option. You'd probably want to measure that first to see how far you would want to stitch. Okay, here's a cat. Excuse us. Goodbye. Yeah, I think that would be really cute. Maybe I'll do that with these ones. Frame them in those. Well, then I can't stitch to the edge, so maybe I didn't think that through. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and demonstrate and not worry about that after all. Okay, so I'm going to do couching first. I have my metallic thread. I'm going to pop up at one end of the line, doesn't matter which one, which side, excuse me, down at the other end. And I'm just going to kind of leave this relaxed for right now, because now I'm going to come in with my variegated red, and I am going to basically tack this thread down all the way across the line. So it's up to you how many stitches you want to do. If you look at the sample hoop, there's 2 rows of the couching, so I thought it'd be fun to do kind of like alternating kind of, so yeah, I just thought that would be cute. So that's probably what I'll do on this one too. You could have all the stitches line up if you don't like them like that, or you could do even more stitches. So I just come up on one side and down on the other. Easy peasy. I don't know what that little guy there is. I think that's from my knot. So I'm just estimating the distance. If you want to be more sure about the distance, you could always use a full-on ruler, or use kind of create like a measuring tool of some kind, and mark it out ahead of time so you can see where you want to go. Again, I'm just going by eye. So the thread I'm laying down is usually called the couched stitch, or the couched thread, excuse me. And the red is my couching thread. That's like really close. I feel like I'm kind of my lengths were like slowly getting shorter and shorter. I guess that could be cute too, if you like concentrate them here and then kind of have them fade out. That would be interesting. So if you are using this stitch and you get your couching stitches, the ones I'm doing in red, get them so close together that they are touching and covering the thread underneath, you are then doing trailing stitch. So that is a good one if you want a straight or curved line, but you want it to be really thick. You can couch or trail, a single strand of thread. It can be lots of strands of thread, so it's really super thick. All right, so now that I'm at the end, I'm going to pull the slack of the metallic. I don't want to pull it too tight because I want to make sure that metallic is covering that guideline and making that nice curve. All right, so next I think we will do, some bows. How does that sound? I think that sounds good. All right, I'm trying to think which one I want to do. I'll go down here. It's kind of a jump, but well, yeah, it'll be fine. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? We'll do the chain stitch down here first. See how far I get with this piece of thread I have. So, like the previous design, this one kind of repeats, right? So the couching is here and here, and then also here and here, right? And then above the couching are the bows. So they're up here and here. So I'm just going to do this set down here, but it's the same. Oh, that's right. I said I was going to do the chain stitch. So then the chain stitch is on top of that. This line, also this line, right? Because it's repeating. So this is checkered chain stitch or alternating chain stitch. There's a fancy way to do it where, I'm trying to think. Oh, where you have it, you have the thread, both colors of thread on your needle, and I have it here. I pulled it out because I knew I was going to want to look at it. So this is a real thing, but it makes my brain hurt. So actually, this way makes my brain hurt too. So if you have never done this before, you might want to try both ways. So this one I feel more confident in. Relatively. It sure looks cool when it's done, right? And actually there's a way to just fake the whole thing, so I can mention that as I go. All right, so similar to chain stitch, we're going to come up and go down in the same hole like so. This is where things get tricky. So one thing you could do, the cheat way, would be to come up and just make a single detached chain stitch and then come in with the other color and do a single detached chain stitch. But you have them touching each other so it looks like they are connected. So it's like an illusion. So instead, I'm going to try to not do an illusion. So I am now using this thread on this needle. So I'm using two separate needles. So I'm coming up along my line a stitch length away. And pulling, and of course when I pull this is not going to tighten, right? Because they're not actually connected. So then I have to come back to my other needle and give it a little tug while holding on to the green. If I let go of the green, the red is just going to pull it over to the other side, right? So I'm going to hold this green and then gently just pull my red like so. All right, so now I go down in the same hole I just came up. Like so, and I leave this nice little opening here, and now I'm going to switch to my red needle without making a huge mess on the back side of my fabric, in theory. So here I'm going to come up, stitch length away, once again, be very gentle. If I yank on this, because my brain's confused and think it's going to pull this, I'll actually be pulling this one, and then that will pull this one. So it's a kind of a, anytime you pull too hard, you end up like pulling the wrong thing, and the whole thing gets tightened in a weird way, and you have to go back and loosen everything. So So much fun, right? Like, why are we doing this? Again, somehow this, I find this easier than the other method. Okay, so that is tightened. And now our next stitch. Making it a little shorter. I feel like that last one was a little too long. And tighten. Oops. Okay, so there I just did what I don't like to do. So when I was pulling, I pulled not just the green, but I also pulled the red. So you can see what happened to the red. It went whoop. So if that happens, luckily it wasn't too extreme, but I just kind of am pulling it out a little bit. I made sure to hold down up here so that any pulling I do doesn't pull the previous stitches. All right, and then where's the green? It's here. Okay, and then I need to come up with my red again. Like so. Pull the green. All right, so now I'll show you like the cheating method, which is different than the one on the card. That's just another method, but it hurts my brain. All right, so I go down. And basically, I am going to come back up with the red and just make a detached chain stitch. And then I will come with my green and come up inside here. And make a detached chain stitch. It feels like extra steps, but which it is. But it's definitely safer. Although that looks odd, doesn't it? I think when I came up with my green, I actually came up through somewhere I wasn't supposed to come up. So let me try that again. How am I going to pull this out? Let's see, I like went in something weird here. Let's see. Let's see. I'm just trying to pluck it from the back, which is not easy. It's dark back here. And I'm at a horrible angle. Come on, you. There we go. All right, all right, all right, all right. Here we go. So hopefully that looked weird just because of where I came up, and it won't look weird this time, but I've been wrong in the past, so we'll see. So I came up more towards the center. Yeah, well, that looks great. So I don't know. Now I feel like I should just be doing this method the whole time. All right, I'm gonna stop after this one. I feel like I'm juggling. I've got the thread just dangling at the back side with the needle. Okay. Ah, so Christmassy and fun. All right, so while I'm right here, so these little bows, basically what we just did, we're starting in the middle. We do a detached chain stitch off to one side. Like so. And then off to the other side. Coming out the same hole or super close to it. I know it can be a little tricky if you come out exactly the same hole. Kind of wants to push the previous stitch around. So 2 detached chain stitches, and then these are just straight stitches. They're so cute. Oh my goodness, I love them. So fun. So just like that. So we have 2 rows of those, plus I added them in the little spots there, because the circle just looked weird. So, okay, so that is that. So I have green right now. What should we do with the green in my hand? Let's do the granito stitch, which is along here. So I did a pattern. So I did every other stitch is the solid green color, and then every other stitch in between those stitches is either the variegated green or the metallic green. So if that was confusing, it might be easiest to start with the darker green, because that's going to use less brain power. So you can start from the bottom of the stitch or the top of the stitch, it doesn't matter. And you're making a straight stitch, and then you're going to make a straight stitch on top of the straight stitch. Essentially through the same holes you just used, but sometimes that doesn't happen. You can make more layers. I'm just going to do 2. So I think that's quite fluffy and lovely enough. So I'm going to go every other. You don't have to do the same pattern as me. You don't have to do the same colors as me. But if you want to, you can use the solid green for this, and then come in with the other colors. Let's see, where should I park this? We haven't done French knots yet, have we? I don't think we have, so I'll save this for French knots. I'm having a look. Yeah, we didn't do it in the previous one. All right, so let me just keep this out of the way. All right, so I have my variegated green. So once you do every other solid green, you could come in and do every other one with your variegated color. I almost went into the next one, so I'm skipping that one, and then I'll go on this one. Okay, I'm just gonna trim this because I don't have a lot of green left on there. I don't think I'll be able to use that for anything. All right, so now I have my silver, and the silver will be every other one or whatever's left, right? And also, like, if you do want to go further towards the edges of the hoop, you can easily, you know, kind of fake another line right here, right? It's a little trickier with like with the circles, like how I had to put the bows, because if there's no room for a full circle, it looked weird doing like a half circle. So could do like a little clump of French knots if you need to fill in space, or more little bows, or you know what you could do would be cute is if you just have like Oh, that'd be super cute. So, sorry, it's just coming to me. So follow the guidelines that if you have extra space, you could always do like a border of like your favorite. So it could be like the alternating chain stitch, or it could be the couching stitch. I'm gonna do that. That's gonna be cute. Okay. Here we go on here. And if you want, you can always, you know, if you want to use a wood frame, you can always paint it, add ribbons to it. Lots of fun. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. So it's, I skipped 3 if I want to keep using this. And I kind of do, just because I'm trying to measure how much of this metallic floss do I use. I only cut 15-inch lengths of the metallic for myself. I didn't want to overdo it because it gets all frayed at the end. And I think I mentioned it in the other video, but you can see it likes to separate into 2, and then I don't even know how many individual strands are in there, but you could always just use one of these. It's, well, it actually might be too thin to use. You could definitely use it for granitos, and you just have to make a couple layers. For couching, I guess you could thread a single of those 2 and then stitch with the overlapped thread on your needle. So it'd bump you back up to having 2 on your needle, but they're just wrapped around. Or if you hate metallic thread and you want nothing to do with it, and definitely use something else. I wonder if you could use beads in every situation, if there'd be a way to use beads somehow. I'm not sure. I think for here you could use a stack of beads, and for the couching, but for in the next project, yeah, the next project has like open fishbone using the metallic. I don't know if there, I don't think there's a way to like use beads for that in any way that makes intuitive sense to me right this second. Okay. Ta-da! Where are we at? Okay, I have, oh yeah, this dark green. I was going to do the French knots, so we have French knots all along here. So I'm going to come up, so the guideline is this little dot, right? So I'm going to come up kind of on the right side of the little dot. And I'm going to just do a single wrap like that. And whoops, I undid my wrap. And then I'm going to place this needle down like on the other side of that little dot. So I'm not going up and down the same hole. And I know that if I'm kind of straddling the hole, that the knot will be centered on it. So I pull that wrap down to the surface of my fabric and I pull through like so. Let's do it again. Oops. Some tail back there, trying to become a part of it. All right, a single wrap. Place the needle down over here. Oops. Pull through. Sorry, I'm like all grossed out by my finger. It keeps bugging me. It's just like a callus from stitching, but I'm all embarrassed. But it's like, sorry, I stitch a lot. Like, what can I do? Well, sometimes I wrap it with the Thimtech tape when I stitch way too much, but I've stitched enough that it's turned into like a very bizarre looking callus. It beats having a hole in my finger though. It just lets you know how much stitching I've been doing. Okay, so what else with this green? So the only other thing with the dark green is we have a band. Let's see if I can count this right. This is Portuguese knotted stem stitch. This is like the center line of the wheat ear stitch. So in between this line and this line, we are filling with, it looks like a split stitch. Are you split stitch or chain stitch? Oh, is this stem stitch? Hold on. One moment, please. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. It is stem stitch. So when I read, it's funny because I wrote that I wanted to do a stem stitch fill because I already did a split stitch fill somewhere else. So I was like, why did I have split stitch filled twice? Is it on this one? That's what happens when you make 3 patterns at once. Let's see. Oh, I guess they're, oh no. Oh no, oh no. Oh, I don't have a, huh. All right, well. We'll call it Stitcher's Choice. So this actually was stem stitch. This also might be stem stitch. Nope. This is split stitch. I did split stitch up here and then I did stem stitch up there just to confuse everybody. So let's see. In the previous one, we did a line of split stitch. So you know how to do split stitch. So you can fill with just rows of split stitch like how we filled this with rows of backstitch. So I will demo stem stitch with this green here. Let's see, which way should we start? We'll start over here on this line. So sometimes I get confused with this one. Like, do I want my thread on the bottom or do I want to keep it on the top? And instead of looking it up, I just decide to pick one and go with it. It just needs to be consistent. I think if you do one way, it's split stitch, but if you do it the other way, it's outline stitch. But if you turn it upside down, don't they switch? I don't know. I get confused. So let's just go with it. So we'll keep it below just because that's easier for me right now. All right, so I go down a stitch length away, and I kind of keep this loose a little bit because once I come up, I'm going to come up in between these 2 points on my guideline, and then I will pull. So I'm going to pull a little bit to the right. So this now looks like it's kind of coming out from under the stitch, which it is. And I do it again. So go a stitch length away from where I just came out, holding my thread down, and then once again I will pop up in between those 2 spots, which happens to be where I came down before, and pull. And get to the right a little bit, and then we just keep going. I feel like it's a little hard to see with this dark color. Plus, I don't know why my thread is kind of fraying a bit. That's sad. There's some of that metallic thread. Oh, is that what that is too? Yeah, that's what that is. I was like, what is this guy? Oops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. This guy right here. You don't belong here. And this, I don't know why you're here either. Come here. Bye-bye. All right. Oops. Oh my gosh, my thread looks awful. What's going on? It's like I need some conditioner, right? This was kind of a long piece of thread, so apparently it's been through a lot already. So yeah, I'm not sure there's anything else to say about this stitch, but you're going to keep doing stem stitch. This is stem stitch. I often switch them up verbally as well because they both start with an S. They are both short words. They are not the same thing though. Oh my word. This thread is not happy with me at all. All right, we'll give it a little break here. So you're gonna go across and you can just come right back if you want. Up to you if you want to keep the thread below or above. Or if you're worried about doing it the same way each time, you can always hop back to the side and keep doing the rows from the left, or if you started on the right, you know. All right, so let's keep going. Let's do this feather stitch here. So I believe we're using our variegated, yep. So here's my variegated green. So with the feather stitch, you do need to start on the right side here. So we start like we're doing fly stitch. So we have like the top of our Y. So, or U, whatever you want to say, if it's a Y or a U. And then I'm going to catch this loop at the low point here. Like so. And now this becomes the top of the next Y. So we swing over to the right, catch this loop, which will be the top of the next one. And it just kind of swings back and forth. All right, so I am magically at the end of my feather stitch. So at the very end here, I just catch and then just go right back down at the bottom like so. And let's see, I think I'm going to use this for our, for the wheat ear. I just have to decide. Yeah, well... I think what I usually do, I think I usually do start from here. I'll just park this over here. We'll get there in a sec. Okay, so now I'm going to take my metallic color, ta-da, and I'm going to whip the feather stitch. I didn't know its name there for a second. All right, so here, hopefully this diagram can kind of help. So here's our feather, right? We kind of go back and forth, right? But there's this like center line, right? That just continues down with the arms on either side. So when we're whipping our feather stitch, we're whipping this center piece. So you don't want to whip any of these side arms. So you know when we did like whipped a back stitch, we went through every single back stitch. So we're going to go through every single arm that's connected to another arm. Yeah. So you can go clockwise or counterclockwise. And I always forget which way I'm going or which way I want to go. So I'm going to just start at the top edge where we started. I'm going to come up right here. And I'm going to go this way just because I'm right-handed and it'll be easier for me. But I'm moving my body over here. So so here's that center line, right? So actually, maybe I want to go this. I don't know. See, I never know, like, which way do I want to go? And I'm not sure it actually matters. I mean, as long as you're consistent. So I've changed my mind. I'm going to go this way. Because then I can sit down in my chair. Oh, come here, you. Oh, see, this is really a awkward thing. Okay. So here I'm whipping the second one. Here's my third one. Whipping it. My fourth. Yeah, all the way down. I'm just being real gentle. Hey Murph, are you trying to get down, hun? Okay, here comes another cat. There you go. Good job. They all have like different places they lay throughout the day, and it's like, okay, in the mornings we lay in this window. In the afternoons we go here. At night we go here. They just rotate favorite napping places all day, which is it's really inspiring, to be honest. All right, I feel like this looks better. And I did go the same way. See, that's why I'm always like, can I even replicate what I did before? Because I can't tell what I did. Is it actually any different? And now that I'm looking at this, I don't think that it is. I know this one's just kind of laying weird. And that's probably a function of it being metallic thread. So, all right, what am I doing? Down like this, right? Okay. Just be consistent. And then if you're like, this is the worst ever, you can definitely do the whipping with the red or the other green. And it'll be cool too. In the next design, we do like a woven backstitch with the metallic, which is kind of even a worse idea than this one. I think it's okay. It's coming together. It's coming together. Two more. One and two. Oops. Oops. Oh, looks like I'm trying to split that instead of weave under it. That wouldn't work. There we go. So then once you're at the other end, you can just go back down. So, and yeah, that's it for that one. I'm just gonna pop this back up so I don't get it tangled on anything. It'll be less in the way that way. If you want to use your metallic, but you're not loving how your whipping is looking, like mine, I'm not particularly happy with it, but I'm gonna go with it. If you want something that's gonna look more consistent, you could essentially like couch instead of whip. So like each arm could have like a little couch on it, right? Using the silver, so, or the gold in your case. So just another idea. All right, so we're gonna do wheat ear stitch down here. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna start with back chain stitch. So we did forward chain stitch modified here. So if we do back chain stitch, we start at the end with this anchor stitch. So we just make an itty bitty teeny tiny stitch like so, and then we come up a stitch length away, sort of kind of, and we are gonna go underneath this anchor. So we're making a detached chain stitch like backwards. So I'm pulling here because it pulls the anchor stitch, because I want to make sure that anchor stitch stays pretty tight. And I go back down this same hole like so. So there's a detached chain stitch, right? And then I'm gonna do another one. So I'm gonna come up stitch length away. I'm gonna weave under here. And then go back down that same hole I came up. Like so. So that would be reverse chain stitch if we were just doing reverse chain stitch. but we're doing wheat ear stitch, which is like reverse chain stitch with some straight stitches. It's like what fern stitch is to back stitch is what wheat ear stitch is to chain stitch or reverse chain stitch. I think that makes sense. Okay, so every time we do a reverse chain stitch, we're adding some extra stitches. So we're going to add a straight stitch here and one on this side as well. What's under this? This is going to be Portuguese knotted stem stitch, right? Okay. Yes, it is. All right, so I'll go here. It might be that you want to do the stitches above and below the wheat ear before you do the wheat ear, so you know how long to make these, right? Because they're not indicated. All right, so that was the first one. So then we have our reverse chain stitch. So then I have another 2 straight stitches here. 1 and 2. All right, and then I do another reverse chain stitch, but now when I go under the previous chain stitch, I'm also going under those 2 straight stitches. So pull and then go back down that same hole. So that's my reverse chain stitch. And then I have my straight stitch from the left, straight stitch from the right. And then we just keep going. And it's going to look super cool because we have this variegated thread. Oops. So it's changing as I go. So if you remember doing the fern stitch, I like to do the center back stitch and then come back and do the side stitches, and you can use that same method here. Where did that come from? So you could just do reverse chain stitch all the way down, or even forward chain stitch and then come back and add all these straight stitch spikes. When I'm placing them, I'm kind of like I look at the one above it and I'm trying to keep these distances the same, right? The ones at the end are going to be funky. There's really not too much to do about that. But after that, I'm trying to kind of keep a consistent distance between where those all go down and what that angle is. And if my chain stitches are the same length, then, you know, that math should work out. Of course, my chain stitches aren't always the same length. So there's some variability in there, but at least gives you kind of an idea. And it looks like that little hollow space inside that I know we talked about in the previous video. It's getting covered with the chain stitches. I think the bigger I make my chain stitch, the more of a empty space in the middle I'm going to see. So I'm afraid mine are getting a wee bit big now. So I'm going to kind of self-correct. Was that any smaller? I don't really think it was. Maybe it was, yeah. That looks shorter. So another fun thing with this one, if you want, you can leave that space in between each little, what are we calling these, stems or straight stitch spiky thingies. You can just leave leave it empty like that. Or if you want to come in with another color and even add, well, you could do like a French knot at the tip of each of these, or you could do a straight stitch in between each one and make it like striped looking. So lots to do with that one. So that is fun. And then let's see, let's change gears a little bit and we'll do this here. So that is the blanket stitch eyelet. I think I mentioned in the previous video, whenever I do a blanket stitch, I have to like double check what I'm doing. So I made sure to have my card out. So for this one, if you want to have like a consistent number of like spokes for each of your, let's see, I have the actual hoop. I don't need to show you the piece of paper with the hoop printed. Where is the hoop? Like how could it disappear if I'm just sitting in one place? Unless like a cat ran off. Oh, there it is. It was actually in the cat bed. So I don't really know if I was consistent or not. I like this one the best. But if you want, let's see, you can kind of measure out, you know, generally where you want to aim for. So I'm actually going to do this one because it's not so close to the edge. So, oops, I kind of went a little bit outside the line there. All right, let me see if I should get a little closer. All right, so I have a line down the, like that, and then I'll cut that in half, like that, and then I'll cut, do I want to cut those in halves or in thirds? Depends on how many stitches I want to do. All right, we'll try to squeeze. Oh, this was maybe a mistake. Let's see. Because then if I do 2 in each of those pieces of pie, that could be too many. But we'll see. All right, so all right, I'm gonna come up on the edge, and then we're gonna go down at the center, and we're gonna keep this kind of loose to the side. And now I'm gonna come up along the edge, and I'm gonna come up in between these 2 guidelines I just made on the edge, like so. And I'm gonna pull. You might need to pull it a little bit to the left, boop, and then back to the right, boop, boop, or maybe a little bit more. So tighten it how tight you want it. All right, so then I go again. So I go back down at that center point, and this time I'm gonna come up on that little guideline I made and pull. And again, I might need to pull to the left a little bit to tighten it, like so. All right, back down at the center. And then we'll catch this between those 2 lines. Come on, where's the center? Probably there. So yeah, with the blanket stitch, that's one where sometimes I forget how to start it. It's like once I get going, I remember what I'm doing, but at the beginning, I'm often confused. Or I'll start in the middle instead of on the outside. All right. So if you try this blanket stitch eyelet and you hate it, that's okay. I'm glad you tried it. You can do something else. You could do woven wheel roses again. You could do satin stitch like we're doing for the next one. You could do like a chain stitch rose, a stem stitch rose. There's a really fluffy rose, looped blanket stitch rose, which is kind of like what we're doing now, but it's a lot looser and you do multiple rounds. Oops. Oh, even though I measured, I can see some of these are looking not the same. Let's see, what was this? This was straight down. This was like my 6 o'clock. And here. I need 3 more, I think. Kind of got confused on the last one. Like, was that one of the lines or the in-between lines? That was in between. Here's one line. I definitely got off my count. And then there should be one in between here. And then I just have one left. Goes here. So this last one, whoa, where am I? I'm trying to pop up like pretty much in the same spot that I came up from, but I don't want to, there's a knot back there I'm trying to avoid. Not very gracefully. All right. Like so. I feel like I pulled some of these too tight, like especially over there. All right, so then I'm just gonna go back down here. Ta-da! So that is one. I'm gonna park over here so I can work on that one later. And yeah, now we get to do the Portuguese knotted stem stitch. All right, this is one that I always have to look up whenever I do it. And I just practiced it on as like scratch piece of fabric because the first time I do it, I always do it wrong. So be gentle with yourself with this one. If it's not working out, you can do something else. You can do chain stitch, you could do the checkered chain stitch, you could do a regular stem stitch, anything you want. All right, I'm gonna do Portuguese knotted chain stitch on this line. Okay, I'm like hyping myself up here. We got this. Okay, so we're gonna come up A, down at B, we're calling that B, and I'm gonna leave this stitch loose to the right. Now I'm gonna come up in between these two spots here. So this should kind of look like what we did for stem stitch, right? When we did stem stitch before, I was keeping it loose to the other side, but so I want to stay consistent with the instructions I'm referring. If I reverse everything, I'll just confuse myself. All right, so this should look familiar, right? So that's the beginning of a stem stitch. So now I'm going to take my thread, my needle, excuse me, and I'm going to weave underneath this stitch 2 times from right to left, and I'm going to aim to do it above where I just came out here, which seems kind of silly since we're just starting, but it'll help you. So right to left, and then right to left, and I try to kind of like pull those wraps gently up. Okay, next, now we're gonna go down like kind of a half stitch away, Just keep it consistent from now on. Just keep your try to keep that consistent. All right, so I'm going to go down, and again, I keep this loose to the right, and I'm going to pop up in between these two on my guideline. And these two I'm referring to in between kind of where I'm coming out of the wrap and where I just emerged from the fabric. All right, so then I pull this gently, and there is the little twist of my stem stitch. All right, so now I do the 2 wraps again. So here you want to make sure when you do those wraps, you should kind of feel the space here. I'm actually going under the stitch, the original stitch. I'm also going under the stitch I just made, but I'm wrapping both stitches. And it's extra confusing at the beginning because you have to start with the like kind of small wrapped half stem stitch. All right, so there's 1 wrap and then 2 wraps. Okay, I swear it's going to get easier for now because we just keep repeating that. All right, so here we go. So I'm going to go down a stitch length away, and I'm going to come up, leaving that thread to the right again, and then I pull through. So there you can see the twist. And again, so when I do this wrap, if I'm below where I just came up, I'm only going to be wrapping that stitch I just made. But again, we want it to be the stitch I just made and the one before it. So if you just aim above where you just came out, you should be grabbing them both. 1. It feels like really, really high up when you do it. And there's 2. It's like, whoa, why is my wrap way up here? But then when you come down, and again, we keep this to the right, and we come up in between and gently pull. You can see what happens is the wrap kind of, oh, hey, there's another cat. The wrap kind of gets pulled down when we make that stitch there. All right, so I'm just gonna keep going. So wrap, hold to the right, go down and up, pull. Here's my stem, and I wrap above where I just came out. 1 and 2, and then we just keep going. I feel like the first couple are just, they don't make any sense, but once you start doing it, you're like, okay, there's the rhythm, and you can start to see the pattern. And that's the key for me. It's like when we do that wrap, make sure you're kind of high on that stitch. So when I wrap this next one, I'm wrapping under the stitch I'm about to make, and I'm wrapping under this little trying to keep it open to see. I'll be going under this part of the stitch above it, right? So pull, and then there's that wrap. 1, 2, down, so if you end up doing this the other way, like if you keep the thread to the left, and then I think you can just wrap from left to right instead of from right to left, and it'll look the same. You just have to be consistent for the whole line. Here's, you'll just have the twist in the other way. So depending on, if you're working this stitch from right to left, or sorry, left to right, or right to left, or upside down, or right side up, or right-handed or left-handed. So I think that's it. I think that was all of the stitches. Have fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. Just play and see what works, what doesn't work, what you love, what you don't love today, because it can change in the future. And yeah, just try some new things, and if they don't work out, that's all right. You can substitute with something else. And I'm just gonna keep working on this. The cat is back. I think they thought they might get fed. It's my husband's in the kitchen. There's always a chance he'll drop something. Okay, well, I will see you in the next video. Hope you're having fun.